What is going on, guys? I'm a dating coach here in Chicago. I used to work for the world's biggest dating company back in 2008 called RSD. I'm also one of the top performers currently in Coach Kyle's school group for self mastery and confidence. Without further ado, today I want to give you the value of how to avoid the friend zone and stop being a nice guy. The root cause of why nice guy happens, I'll get into that shortly, but inevitably you're not being authentic. You're not being yourself. You're not owning your desires. You're playing it way too safe. And as a byproduct of being that way, you give off friendly feeling when you start interactions. So let's say you were to own your own desires, you were to own aspects of yourself that you are maybe timid or not used to being that expressive, that will hinder your results. So this comes from either lack of doing it or unwillingness to do it, or maybe you're unconscious about it. So the strategy that I use for my clients in order to push past that, including myself, I remember I used to socialize a lot. And when I cultivated that aspect of being able to be more social, I wouldn't get the women that I wanted because I would be too friendly. I'd be too kind. I would beat around the bush. I would use corny, um, flirtatious lines and things like that, but not actually embody my intent and actually go for the things that I want assertively. Um, so it can be quite frustrating. So the recipe for the solution is to essentially choose yourself over everybody, choose yourself over what society thinks. The way that I personally managed to get to this point, and including my clients as well, is I have them go through a meditation of visualizing themselves as a younger version of themselves or a childlike version of themselves, and essentially take the authority of taking care of them and giving them everything that they want, treating themselves as if they were their own father, treating themselves as they're the responsible ones. So from that dynamic, once they come out of the meditation, they can embody that aspect, and rejection doesn't feel like rejection because they're unconditionally loved and supported by themselves through that state of being. That's how it helped me out, and that's what helps out my other clients. Maybe there's other ways of doing so. I haven't found another way. So first and foremost, that would be like the first step. There's meditations on YouTube that you can just look up how to find my younger self, and you can have that meditation. And from that, you start owning aspects of yourself without feeling the emotions of rejection, because rejection comes from like a feeling of abandonment. But if you are unconditionally loved and you're never going to be abandoned, that feeling no longer serves you and it doesn't exist internally. So once you ground yourself in that aspect, you can now own aspects of yourself despite any insecurities that you might have. You are worthy and you can essentially put yourself out there more unapologetically. So the issue that nice guys have is that they're not authentic. They're they're like beating around the bush. They're not assertive. And when you have, for example, the feeling of arousal and being able to, if you have like the practical skill sets of being able to make the woman feel comfortable, being approaching women and like just vibing, teasing, and all these emotions, this is also like a toolkit that you can use to essentially arouse her, which is expressing what you want to do to her and owning that aspect about yourself and actually give that feeling to her and actually turn her on. But if you're not willing to express that side of you because you've either disowned it or you are uncomfortable with it or XYZ, that's what essentially puts you in the friend zone, because you never evoked arousal and you're kind of waiting for them to do it for you. And the thing is, as like in society, you as the guy, you're socially responsible for you making things happen, you making the moves. And plus, you're a more durable, confident guy than women typically are. So expecting them to have that is a losing game, because it's probably going to happen like maybe once every like 8 months. So if you take this into your own hands, it's going to be way easier to get way more consistent dates, way more consistent connections that are fulfilling for you in whatever way that you specifically desire. And also not being judgmental for your own desires. And that's essentially how to avoid the friend zone, by evoking that type of feeling and being assertive and having the grace of, if it's not a match, moving on to someone else, and still being yourself, and still honoring yourself and your feelings, and these things. So anyway, hope that helps. And if there's any other questions, feel free to DM me below or leave it in the comment sections. If you want to see real life interactions of me using this in real practice, you can check out my Instagram at Premium Expression. I'm mostly on there. Anyway, guys, hope this video was even slightly insightful, and see you in the next video.